my kind of girl. Soon you'll be close to me, 'cause you mean the most to me. You're my kind of girl. Yes, you're my kind of girl. It's Plastic EP here with my fantastic co-host, President CEO of Gemstar Records. How are you today, Kathy?
I'm doing fantastic, you guys, considering that there's fires around me and it's a little smoky, and I also am a volunteer fireman, but they haven't called me in yet, so I'm doing all right.
That's great. Now let me introduce your fantastic guest, our fantastic guest coming in from Los Angeles, and we love it out there. We got Joseph Love. How are you today, Joseph?
I'm doing wonderfully well, and it's good to be a part of this program. And having met Kathy and yourself, I appreciate being on the program.
Now, Joseph, I've got to ask you about your fantastic musical career. I really want to know how you got started, how you got into producing, writing, engineering, hit songs. Also, I'd like to know a little bit about your Grammy-winning producing brother as well. So if you want to get into that, that'd be great.
Okay, well, I've been in music since I was 3. Well, my aunt, who fortunately is not here with me, she's with the Blossoms. So I've been around music ever since I was 3. I didn't pick up trumpet until I was 12. Her name was Jean. I forgot Jean's name. Can't even think of mom's name. But she used to sing with Darlene Love. She sang behind Tom Jones. She was the Reyes. The group was called the Blossoms. Jean King's her name. So being around that, I picked up trumpet. My mom was a musician. My grandmother, who I never met, was a musician as well. So let's spool it up. By the time I was 12 years old, I picked up trumpet. I met a gentleman through my father, who rest in peace, my dad, who introduced me to a gentleman by the name of Paul Gayton. Now, Paul used to write for Nat King Cole. So he shows me all these Grammy and all these adulations on his wall. He said, "Hey, son, let me ask you a question. I heard you're a musician. Your dad said you're a musician. So what do you like to do?" I said, "Do you know what the money go to is? Mailbox money?" I didn't even know what that was. And I looked up and happened to look at music publishing. He said, "Yep, that's it." So from there, I just end up playing music, working with, going through high school, trumpet, the usual, like most musicians. And didn't think I was going to take it as a profession, because my mom didn't really want me to be a musician. So I ended up picking up trumpet, trombone, tuba, upright bass, guitar, keyboards, drums, and kind of cut my teeth on working with different people, having an opportunity. My younger brother came up, he played trumpet and piano. He's a little bit more fortunate because when we were coming up, they weren't signing acts. So by the time he got there, Teddy Riley was hot, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. So he got signed on to Tracy Edmonds, was his boss at the time, which was Babyface's first wife. So that deal kind of led to a whole lot. By that time, I was in my 30s. But I've always been writing. I've always had a propensity just to love melodies and do beats, and like everybody else, jazz, gospel, rock, R&B. So it was just a amalgamation of things that I've always had interest and still have interest in. Especially in today's market. So it's pretty much it. Now we're all older now, and I'm just taking all that and giving it back to the youth and my new marriage. My wife's daughter's a top DJ here in LA, and got 3 sons I'm gonna pass it on to. So I just kind of love doing music, and I'm like a lot of artists. I don't, if I want to be rich and famous, you know how that goes. That doesn't go well. I just do it because I love doing it. And I love working with people. So that's pretty much it.
That's terrific, Joseph. Now, you are keeping it in the family because you also worked with your brother, Jonathan John Robinson.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about him. So he had got signed. So his story is this. He doesn't like telling it, but I'm going to tell it. So he happened to be at a restaurant in Beverly Hills. He's always been like me, kind of like outgoing and, whatever. And so him and Tracy and Babyface and Babyface's brother-in-law, which is his wife's brother, was sitting at the table, and they're like, "Hey, look at this guy. He's over there rapping and blah blah blah." So he gets a call and they ask him to come down to the studio, and so I go down there with him and we check it out. And so long story short, they signed him to a production deal, then they signed him to a publishing deal. 10, 15, million, 30 million records later. He's on some of the biggest records, Crazy, Sexy, Cool, TLC. He's worked with Johnny Gill. He's working with Teddy Riley. So he's in the studio with a lot of big kahunas. And I happen to just be a part of it. I happened just to start writing with him, and luckily I got on a record because sometimes it's not always your blessings or your luck, some of us, and I end up getting on a record that I didn't even know when it had gone gold. And I've helped other artists by just promoting, because I used to do promotion and marketing. So my brother kind of charted with John B's first hit, Don't Say, was his first single, charted up on the pop chart number, I think it went to 50, and it went number 6 or number 10 on R&B charts. So pretty much he didn't have a lot of big hits on the radio, like Nile Rodgers or somebody like that. But he did get on there, and he happened to break through, and I happened to break through with him. Just getting on a record that didn't go to the chart, but you know how it is when you're on a record, the engineers and musicians, they all get these plaques. They used to give out. They don't give them out there like that no more. You have to buy your plaques. So I ended up having to buy my own personal plaque to say, "Oh, I got a gold record certified by RIAA." you know. So that's pretty much it. My brother's a wonderful producer. My niece, his daughter, she's putting out records. I just actually co-wrote 2 records on her new album. Hopefully, we'll see what it does. So that's pretty much it. Keep it in the family.
Yeah. So you got a platinum record too. Where was
So the platinum is like I always say it's ungratuitous, it was a record that was done by and this is the truth. Never was given it, but the first record by Kirk Franklin he was signed to a friend of mine's her label out here in LA, and her name is Vicky McLadley, and she was the one who broke the BB and CC Wine's first record. So his album Silver and Gold, his very first record, went gold, then went platinum as years went by. But she said she'd give me plaque for helping her, and I helped his album get on one of the singles get on the box, because I was just helping a lot of people, but I never got that record. So I just keep it like.
Now your company is 92060 Records and Love Media Works, right?
92060. Thank you. 92060 Records is my label. I don't know what the other information. Joseph, it's supposed to be the Joseph Love Company. So please forgive me if I have that information wrong. Should have been my grandmother didn't correct something. So it's 92060 Records, which is actually my birthday, and Joseph Love Company, which is I use for consulting and things of that nature. So it's just 2 companies, and then I have 3 publishing companies. Focus on the funk music, which is CSAC, and Love Got Style Music, which is under BMI, and then Status Q Music Publishing, which is under ASCAP. So I have 3 publishing companies, and most people don't have 3 publishing companies. In the narrative, you're supposed to just have one, one publisher and one writer, because the publishing, as you guys know, 20 years ago, there's a lot of cross pollination, cross pollination, I think it's called. I'm getting it wrong, but it was a lot of cross accounting, and they didn't know where to send the checks to. So when BMI ASCAP, all the hot writers they were a writer at ASCAP, and they were a writer at BMI, and they were a writer at CSAC if you're invited. And it was just too much. So they said no, you just be one writer, but you can have publishing companies all over the world. So that's pretty much what I did. And I just wanted to have that so in case streaming never takes off and gets stabilized for all of us, we can all make a lot of money. Great milk.
Yeah, good job. Good job. Now you worked with Giuliani and Mr.
Well, no, not Mr. Free. Yeah, those are my best compadres. Giuliani is Julian Reeves the third, and Mr. Free is my other cousin. He's a bass player. I helped him. They have another company separately from. They started new companies. So back in the late '90s, we were together. We had a production company called. I can't even think of it.
Is it FLR? FLR?
FLR, yeah. Free Licks, Love, and Reeves Incorporated. So we went by FLR, and we were just signing artists, and we were just trying to get people deals, and and we're like a lot of artists out here in LA. You come to LA, if you live in LA, everybody comes to Los Angeles, but now you don't have to be from Los. You could be from anywhere and make money, especially with social media. So we were just trying to get people deals and co-writing and managing artists. And then after a while, it just got a little bit too much, and everybody said, let's let this go. And we it was a good run while it lasted.
Because you do a lot of spectrum of what you do. For example, you're good behind the desk, you're good at producing, you're good at doing a number of things, but also writing music for films. I mean, you must love that. I mean, how great is that seeing your work on films?
Uh, it's a headache sometimes because sometimes when you work with directors are very is their thing. They're more or less trying to direct you how to write the music. Now let's just sync and license music out from sources that they're gonna use through musical supervisors. And when you're working with music supervisors, you have to be you have to pay attention to every detail. And then if you're not writing, especially since we're doing remote until everybody opens back up, you have to you have to follow the if they're not shooting the movie, you kind of like just have to turn in things that they like. If they don't like it, then you got to just keep going back and forth, especially with this pandemic. So um, I'm dabbling my hands, and I'm also consulting for people with film and television things. They're asking me what do I think. I'm not on their staff as far as writing, but sometimes I just tell them what they need to do, direct them because they have their own personal choices. So it's a process, and I'm still learning as I go. Trying to get more name credit, and it's a process. And I just love film. I'm a big Jerry Goldsmith fan. I'm a big my man that used to be with Oingo Boingo. Forgot his name. Um, uh, he's directed. He's done music scores for Dark Knight. Some of the Marvel. I cannot think of his name right now, but there's a lot of a lot of musicians that I like, composers that I really like, that influenced me. So and I'm just taking it. Hopefully, if I get my big break in it, and I stay writing in, and I'm hopefully I can do it.
All right. Now you play so many instruments. I can't believe it. But your bass is your best. You say that it's kind of like your hip hop jazz, your hip hop soul, all that gospel funk.
Yeah, yeah, I love it all. Bass is my main instrument. Larry Graham, Stanley Clark, all those guys, Jaco Pastorius, uh, Paul McCartney, every bass player out there that's known and not known is a big influence. And I'm influenced. Louis Johnson from the Brothers Johnson. Uh, um, he used to do Quincy Jones sessions. He's played on. In fact, he was a good friend of mine. But he was a good friend to a lot of people. But he's played on Michael Jackson, Thriller, Off the Wall. One of my biggest influences, and Larry Graham. But yes, bass is my go-to. That's my solace. I love. I do play guitar and I do sub on keys, but bass is my go-to. I love playing bass because it's just the heartbeat. It's drums and bass is the thing that keep the solid. It's the foundation. And without a good bass and without a good foundation, you know how it goes. You can't have without good bass and good drums. You don't have a good song.
Where do you go? I know. Exactly. And you didn't mention Diana Ross, but you worked with Diana Ross and Lamont Dozier.
Well, Lamont Dozier. Okay, so let me explain that one. So the way my bio reads, I just put the people that I had worked with. So Diana Ross, I did a session for her through my brother. He produced one of her albums. And it was the album. She did the Super Bowl, and she announced that she's working with a young up and coming producer under Baby Faces, but she was working with a couple other people as well. So I had actually played on one of her albums. It wasn't a big selling album, but it was a great thing. Lamont Dozier, I had the opportunity to write with my brother because he came over to my brother's house. And my brother called me, "Hey man, you need to get over here." So we went over there and had opportunity to write. He gave me some great advice. I asked him, "So what is it that makes hit records?" And he's looking. He says, "Just keep writing." And the three things I gathered from him, he said he sold over 2 billion in records, and he had the first 12 years of Motown because of Supremes, Four Tops, Temptations, and I was like, wow. And the third thing, he was actually working with Britney Spears when we were in the room. He had wrote some songs that his son had wrote because the son is a big writer too. And the third thing is to just keep writing because it never stops. And the man never really stopped. He's a basic keyboard player. melodies for ages, but he just continues to write even at his age, and that's the one thing I'm learning. Because one thing I'm learning, like there's one drummer that I respect. His name is Roy Haynes, top jazz drummer in jazz. He still plays jazz. He's been playing since he was, from my understanding, since he was 3. He's 94 years old and he's still playing. Last gig he did with was it uh, uh, Chick Corea. Chick had just passed. We know we just lost him. But I was like, I looked at that and then I saw what he was worth. I was like, wow, this gentleman is still. And then he doesn't have social media, he doesn't have a website, but he's still working. So I want to be able to be that bass player to do those kind of things as well. Hopefully.
So what do your wife and you have planned now? You're writing together. Does she play an instrument or?
She's studying piano more. She's because she's a nurse. She's a first responder. But she's my college sweetheart, and by me having my setup, she likes to do things for fun. So she just started doing the tracks for fun. So she got on Logic and started doing some stuff, and then we ended up writing like maybe 10 songs, and out of 10 we have at least four headbangers. I mean, real good songs that sound great. I just arranged and put some bass guitar on them, kind of like hip hop tracks. We actually did a country western song, grabbing a whole bunch of samples and we played it for a couple people. Like, whoa, who did this? And so we kind of like, you just experimentation. But with her, and then I'm writing with other writers and other producer friends of mine, and I'm just trying to stay current. That's all I could do, because you never know where hits gonna come from. You
exactly. Now, Joseph, I want to say I'm a big fan of disco, and the reason why I'm a big fan of disco, even though I'm into pop music, rock, and country, when you look back at that scene back then in 76, 78, they're making some of the greatest music with the instrumentation, with the bass.
Yeah.
They're doing so much with the instruments that it's unlimited. That's why that period of time makes a lot of people happy. Do you agree?
I agree, because actually, let me just drop a little knowledge on you guys. I'm actually working with an artist who actually is good friends with Nile Rodgers. So we're writing some music together, and hopefully I'll get on the record with Nile. But see, Nile's still doing the same thing he's been doing since Chic, even though he just did a Daft Punk's record. I'm pretty sure you've heard Get Lucky. And that song is not actually about getting lucky. It was actually about how his cancer, he had cancer, and he was like talking about how he was blessed to be lucky to still be alive, So that music is not going to, it's coming out in different forms. EDM is coming through different Afrobeat. Afrobeat is big right now. So Latin music has a lot of disco, but it's still African-based music, which is good because disco comes from church. Most people don't know that. Sylvester, who was alive at the time, who was, drag queen, he started that whole movement with the 2 Tons of Fun. So really, real talk, they'll tell you that it came out of the black church and it just went out everywhere. Even though the gentleman in Cincinnati hated disco and the Bee Gees, we all suffer for what disco got thrown under with funk, and all the bands that kind of did that music kind of died out in 78 or 79, but it's making a resurgence, and that music will never die. In fact, my friend, she just played me a record that she had wrote, he had produced, and I was like, whoa, if they put this record out, it's going to be one of the biggest records out. And I can't really get too much in that because it's a situation that could change a lot of people's lives. So, but I'm hoping to hopefully get some big hits this year, and I'm looking forward to it. But disco has not died.
No, I actually reckon disco's making a comeback, because let me tell you, for me, disco can come back in a different form. Even though you've got disco, it'll come back and it will be disco, but it's going to come through songs, and you'll say, hey, that sounds a bit of disco, but it won't be like the full-on disco scene that it was, because believe me, disco is so underrated, and everybody that was there at that time know how great that music was. It took over the world. It seriously did.
It did. It was a phenomenon that like hip hop did and rock and roll did. And like I'm trying to bring the actual funk back, because funk got killed in disco. Disco's making a big comeback, which it is, but it's coming at EDM. So the DJs are playing that music in different forms. I did a song called A World Vibration. It's on my SoundCloud. Now I don't do a lot of release. I don't do a lot of putting out records. I don't do a lot of content. But what I'm trying to do this year is put out enough content so I'm making content make sense. So I am going to put out some disco records in that format and in that genre, so that people can feel the bass. Because like Giorgio Moroder, when he did when he was producing Donna Summers, because he also worked with Daft Punk. So these people are still here. These people aren't going nowhere. Unfortunately, music never dies because music is the universal language for all of us. Blues, gospel, disco, jazz, R&B, rock, rockabilly, whatever you want to call it, bluegrass. It's just music. It's just music. So just what you love. R&B hits, ballads. But disco is making a good comeback. So definitely.
Now,
Hopefully,
Joseph, I
we get
just got to
more.
say, you got some fantastic songs out now at the moment, right? You've got one
Yes.
called Marks. You got another one called You're Cool. Now, these
Yes.
songs, I just want everyone to know where they can find your music on the net and find you as well with all your links.
Well, the links. So here's what I'm doing right now. I'm about to have my SoundCloud is up. Is at www.soundcloud.com/JLOVELY, the number 2004 EVA. It's J Lovely 2000 forever. Get my links. I'm getting ready to put stuff back out through my label. My website is being put together as we speak, and I'll hopefully within 2 months I'll have it up and running so people can download at www.92060records.com. So that will be the links that they can go to. And unfortunately, I don't have my, like some people got this new thing, OnlyFans, and you can go see all their links. I don't have that right now because I've been kind of slowly getting back into social media. I'm on Instagram, but as far as downloads, I haven't put them up for downloads. I'm going to release a couple of singles on my label because I have a Sony distribution situation, and I can go straight through their portal through Orchard. But I want to make my records. I would like to make my records big as I can. Problem is that you can have records out, but if people don't know who you are and if they don't see it, there's so much content out there that everybody's not getting looked at. So it's about economics. It's about how to really put records. So I'm really just going back to the days like good music, like Pink Floyd, like when they when Thriller was put together. I mean, when you're putting something together, you want to you really want to put the record together and it's marketed right, it's put out right. So that when you put it out, it makes sense. Because I have a gospel album that's about to be we're mastering now through a friend of mine. It's a duet. Me and my friend Renee Robinson, we did an album, and the group is just called God God's Love. So because we need more love out here. So got a couple of good records out there, a couple of fast records, good records. We got a song that talks about the homeless and the COVID people passing and stuff like that. So I'll be having stuff coming out very soon. So hopefully in a couple of months I'll have everything together. I'm a BBACC to CC to give it to you to give it to her to so we can
All
get these
right.
records out.
Uh-huh.
So that
Kathy, have you got
Wonderful.
anything else to ask Joseph?
Well, all I can say is this is such a pleasure, Joseph, because we kind of met on social media about 3 or 4 months ago. And I can't
yeah.
believe you are so very talented. I mean, the laundry list, 41 years in the entertainment business. And you're so humble and you're like discreet about it. So you're not even out there. So I am totally honored. And I'm sure Plastic EP is too, to have you on the show. You shared such valuable information and such great questions are asked and such great answers. So I totally appreciate you. And I will share your links when you get stuff out.
What music do you listen to in your car?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been listening to some old Brothers Johnson. Look out for number one, the very first record that Quincy Jones produced, and I've been listening to Herbie Hancock's Thrust album. A lot of fusion. I listen to a lot of jazz fusion, and I listen to a lot of new artists that aren't out there. There's a young gentleman that you guys need to check out. His name is Mono Neon. That's another guy named Thundercat, who's a great friend of mine. He's a bass player. He's a phenom. He's a great artist who worked with Kendrick Lamar on Pimpin' the Butterfly. So I listen to a lot. I listen to a barrage of a lot of music, classical. I'm consulting for a young lady who's doing nothing but classical music, and I've been helping her. So I listen to a little bit of everything. You know, I might be listening to DeBosey, I might be listening to Miles Davis. I don't know. Just so that according to the day, I don't know. You know, I might listen to some hip hop. Actually, I listened to Eminem's last album. I picked this album up. A little bit crazy, but I wanted to see what Dr. Dre was doing because you know they haven't been hot in a minute. But I listened to everything, you know, and that was the last record I bought it at Target. I was saying, wait a minute, let me check this out. This I haven't seen Eminem since
Hey,
whenever,
well,
you know.
let me tell you, Joseph, there's a lot of albums and CDs in the bargain bins too, you know, that are really a lot of hits in there too.
Yes, exactly. That's the whole thing, you know, and I think we need to get back to good music, and that's the problem.
Exactly. Totally agree with you, Joseph. We want to thank you so much for being on the show. I want everyone to check out Joseph Love. I went on the net, I checked him out. He's all over the web, and big things are going to come from Joseph. You wait and see. Thanks so much for being on our show today, Joseph. Thank you, Kathy. Say goodbye to your fans, Joseph.
Thank y'all. Thank you for the support. Appreciate Plastic EP, and thank you for Kathy CC Carlson. I appreciate y'all, and I hope, and I'll bring some more people onto y'all show. I really love this. This is a great thing.
That would be wonderful, Joseph. Thank you so much.